Hello. Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing awesome. So, I'm back with my head wrap, and I want to talk about a topic that's really, you know, I I think I've been a victim of this one. I also think that there are social cultural backgrounds to it, like the reasons why women tend to over explain in business. So generally in life, you it's harder to just tell people no, right? But when it comes to business, I think women, we tend to do it a lot more. We over explain ourselves, and you can just save yourself that trouble and just say no. I also think it helps when you're older, because if you've been in corporate for a decade or more than a decade, at a point you just tell yourself like, excuse me, I can't deal with this. It's a no. And you're like, the world should end if it wants to end. It's a no from me. So yes, age, experience, time in that space does help. But I don't want you to wait 10 years before learning that you can actually just say no without explaining yourself too much. And life can go on. If the world was to end, let it end. I think many of us feel like we must justify every no that we give. And to justify it, we want to give a whole speech. Like I said, I truly believe that it's a cultural conditioning, that we're taught as women to be agreeable. We are taught to avoid appearing like you're rude or you're arrogant. I mean, like if I just say no, they say, oh, she's so rude. And then in leadership, this reflex can go a long way to undermine our authority. And honestly speaking, it will just waste your energy, trying to over explain yourself. So, this is me telling myself, reminding myself after all these years of being in corporate that no is fine without any explanation. If you're the decision maker, saying a no is fine. In Nigeria, when you say no, you can be called proud, difficult, disrespectful. And if you work with male leaders, they those if you have like male bosses, people rarely have the need to expect their boss, if it's a man, to explain to them why a no is happening. It's very rare to expect your male boss to make you understand why he has taken a certain decision. But it's not the same for women. So you see that there's a double standard that forces women to over explain just so we can appear as nice people. And there's a cost to it, right? First of all, it shows the people, the team you're leading, that you're insecure or that you lack confidence in your own authority. And then it invites unnecessary negotiation and pushback, especially from your own employees or even clients, and sometimes from your colleagues. So I've noticed that. I've noticed that. And so sometimes, especially in the early stages of your business or of a project, I always advise to take the Steve Jobs route. Just be the decision maker and be ready for any consequences that could come out of those decisions, because you cannot afford the time to be over explaining, to cajole people to your side to get a job done. The goal is to produce results, right? And you know what? The earlier you make those mistakes from whatever decision that it is, we know that there are different kinds of decisions, right? There are decisions that require you to take a longer time to study. There are decisions that are just like, do this. This is what I want. So I think I listened to a podcast where a guy was saying when you start a business or a startup in the early ages, you become a dictator. Like that's the only way that things work. So yes, I agree to that. You just have to be the dictator when it comes to decision making. No explanation. It's a yes, it's a no. We're moving on, we're getting on with this project. Next, what's next? um there's also the part that if you tend to want to give reasons why a no is given to anything, it will train the people on your team or the people that you work with to expect that they have access to your time and to your energy, and most of all to the way you reason every time. You cannot afford that. If you're going to be a leader that wants to get results out, you cannot afford that. There's even the risk of familiarity, which will then affect the results that you get in your work. So no is a complete sentence when you're a leader. Your role is to make decisions. You're not there to just defend those decisions endlessly. Your authority is further reinforced by your brevity, how brief you are, by the clarity of it, and how consistently you are able to say no to things. So, a firm no can be very professional, it can be respectful, and most of all, it is final. If the world wants to end, let it end. Now, um saying no is not like you're a hostile person. It just means that you are prioritizing your time and your energy, because you want to prioritize where you focus on. You want to prioritize where your mental resources are. You want to prioritize where and what matters most, right? So being clear with your no is going to prevent burnout. And do you know there's something called decision fatigue, where you're constantly making decisions, and you get tired. So if you are someone who is a leader, I believe I'm speaking to leaders or future leaders, and in a day you have to make like 10 to 20 decisions, where would you have the time? Time is a resource that you would never get back. Where would you have the time to keep explaining why, and what is the reasoning behind a decision of a no? That's wastage, and you cannot afford that. So I'm going to tell you some practical ways that you can avoid over explaining. You can say things like, that won't work for us right now, and that's it. Or, yeah, we'll pass on this opportunity. Or, I'm not available for that. And then you need to be able to practice silence after you say no. Don't feel the need, don't feel the urge to fill the space. So if you're asked a question and your answer is no, can we move on to the next thing on our agenda? And that's it. I know it's very difficult, but it is possible. There's also the need to have a standard decision making principle that you can reference um, anytime you find yourself in that situation. So, people like Jeff Bezos, they have some very simple ways that they respond when they want to say no. You can say something like, it's not aligned it's not aligned with our strategy at the moment, and that's it. And you know what happens when you have people, mentees, whether you like it or not, people are being mentored by you. Whether you're conscious of it or not, people are being mentored by you because you're a leader. And especially if you're a woman, when other women see that you stop over explaining, it definitely will make the culture of that organization to be normalized to female leadership. But you have to be the one to start it, you have to be the one to begin it. And being able to say no, another ripple effect is that it builds respect from your team and your potential partners, or your partners, or even your colleagues. And like I said, it will definitely inspire other women to set firmer boundaries without feeling that guilt or feeling the space after they say no, right? So yeah, that's all I have to say about this for today. You can just say no, and the world will not end. So please stop over explaining when you can simply just say no and save yourself the resources of time, mental energy, avoid burnout, avoid decision making fatigue. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.